All right, guys, welcome back to another episode. Open Mat Chronicles, 1865 Rod here. And as always, we got my man Schaefer in the house.
What's happening? What's happening? Shaver in the house.
What's up, Schaefer?
Chilling. Sitting here, had a long-ass volleyball season for my daughter. Whew. I'm glad it's over. Glad it's over. It was fun, though.
Volleyball stories. No more volleyball stories.
No more volleyball. At least not for a little while.
For another year.
Yeah, at least for, more like, about 6 months. Then we're right back at it.
There you go.
What are we talking about today?
Okay, so it is, what is this? It's May, right? Dang, this month's going by quick.
Yeah,
you know why I had to ask? Because it was 59 degrees yesterday, raining in May.
Oh, yeah, it was stormy.
Out of the blue. I think it's done. That should be done.
Stormy weather.
But it's May, so, that means that June's around the corner, and typically schools have their promotions in June. Like, usually they have either a summer or, end of year, or both. We usually have both. And we were talking about, like, sometimes students get sandbagged sometimes, right?
Oh, they do.
Sandbagging, the old sandbag. So let's talk about that. Let's kind of unpack that. So what do you think about sandbagging your guy?
Sandbagging students. Listen, man, you're right. I think the majority of schools probably at some point in time have sandbagged someone, especially if it's their competitors, because they want to get that gold. They need that plastic gold.
Everyone's guilty.
Yeah, I think so. My thoughts on it, it's like anything else. It's like weighing in during a fight, right? I wish it had to be done the day of and it had to be legitimate. I also wish that someone would hold a criteria for all of their students as close, so that it can all be as close as possible, right?
You mean for the belt?
For your belts, exactly. So, and it's going to be subjective because this instructor and this instructor, they might have both come from a Helio and then maybe a Henzo lineage or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But one guy over here says, well, to get your blue belt, you got to do X, Y, Z. And then this over here, he goes, to get your blue belt, it's 1, 2, 3. And they might have these little differences, but if you were to grab their blue belts, throw them against each other, they should be pretty close.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
But then people will start saying, oh, hey, I want to sign up for the Pans, or hey, I want to sign up for the yada, 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 Abu Dhabis or whatever. And then they go, oh, well, you were about to get your blue belt, but hold up. We can't have you go out there and get your ass beat.
Yeah.
So let's just put you on the what is it? The competition track. Yeah, we're gonna simmer your ass for a little while, right?
On that back burner.
Let them cook real slow.
Yeah.
And I don't like that. I mean, I don't like it, but I get it, right?
Yeah.
So now you got this guy who, by all intents and purposes, should be a blue belt.
Yeah.
And probably should have had the blue belt. But now he's in 2 years, 2.5 years, 3 years in, still like about to get his blue belt.
Yeah.
He's wiping up the white belt competition because he's damn near a purple belt.
Yeah.
And it's like, so, okay, now you got a guy who is on that competition track getting promoted slow as hell, and then you have the hobbyists at the same school who've gotten their blue belts, but they're getting just mauled by this guy. Then they get their purple belt, and they're still getting mauled by this guy because he's a purple belt too.
Belt, really, yeah.
But on paper, it's like, oh, no, he's a blue belt. He's a blue belt because we're going to get all the gold. Do I like it? No, I don't like it.
The belt just really tells the other students what the professor thinks of you. That's really what it is.
I agree. And if you're sandbagging, then what does the professor think of you?
Yeah.
Because if you're over here and you're dominating white, blue, purple, but you're still wearing a white belt, 4 stripes, what does he think about you? Yeah. It's like, or better yet, what does he think about everybody else? Like, how is it you're going to have this guy or gal or whatever beating the dog shit out of you, beating the dog shit out of everybody, and they're supposed to go, oh yeah, he's just a white belt still. Yeah. It's like, come on, man. And that to me, that's disrespectful.
And how would that white belt really feel if he went in there and he won? You know what I mean? Let's say he won gold or whatever, but he's really like a purple belt or a blue belt. I'm not going to go purple. That's exaggerating. But let's just say he's a solid blue belt, but he's really competing in white belt category, mopping everybody up. Like, do you really how do you really feel about that?
How do you feel about that? Like that, I wouldn't like it.
Yeah.
I would actually hate it. But then here's the problem. He goes into the competition and he still gets beat.
I know that could happen too.
Because
You'll never get promoted.
Because but he gets beat because the guy he went against
He's doing the same
is
thing.
the same shit.
Yeah.
And now everybody's doing it,
Everybody's
right?
doing it.
And it's like, what the fuck, dude?
I know,
Because
because
I hate that shit.
that's the thing with me, like the
that
whole
shit.
competition thing. Okay, competition should be pure. That should be the purest form of this sport, right? There should be no reason to sandbag until you start injecting big money into it. When you start getting some like
Right.
money to it, then I get it. But if we're just doing this for like medals and all that, maybe a little bit of small amount of monetary rewards, it should be the purest form. And here's why. You're testing your skills against another opponent that's similar to your age, size, and
Right.
skill level. That's the whole reason we created competitions. That's why they're there. So if you skew that, and then you're just basically you're nullifying the whole thing, in my opinion.
I agree.
And then if everybody does it, now you just move the whole goalpost.
Well, this is the problem when
Stupid.
you're dealing with anything
It's
that's
stupid, damn it.
I know. Anytime you're dealing with man-made shit, like you're going
Yeah.
to get impurities.
Yes.
It's like ego's gonna. It's all ego.
It's at the end of the day, it's
Egos
ego-driven,
just
you're right.
fucking take control, and they go,
Yeah.
well, I need to have all my students win as many medals as they can, so I can hang them all up in the dojo, so that ultimately I can promote myself and say that look how many winners I have. Come join my school.
So it will be monetary at the end of the day. It could be like
yeah, but it's not monetary for everybody.
directly.
It's monetary for the fucking for the
school.
black belt.
Yeah.
That's for the fucking school. Yeah. Whoever
owner of
owns
the
the
school.
whoever owns the school, that's who's getting the money off that shit.
So it's indirectly could help him. Yeah.
So
Which I get it. It's all business. They're all gonna do
I
it.
do get it.
Every school does it, but then it, like I said, it just kind of washes out. It just erases everybody.
it makes it feel dirty.
Yeah.
It makes it feel dirty, man. It's just like you're like, It's like, come on, dude. Let the white belts fight the white belts. Let the blue belts fight the blue belts, and so on and so forth. Because we said this before, right? Who's the best purple belt in the world? Nobody knows.
Nobody
and
cares.
listen, no offense to anybody who's a purple belt. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
It's like best black belt, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it, man. And everybody else, I mean, look, if you're a purple belt and you're beating the dog shit out of black belts and you're whooping everybody, well, first of all, you probably got sandbagged half to death, and you should probably be a black belt, right?
Yeah.
But then we go into the whole sport versus traditional versus all this other stuff, because I've had beef where people should have had their black belt because by all points showing they were a black belt in every regard, right? So you got to sometimes have. This is for upper belt. I'm going to say this. This is my opinion on what some upper belts, especially if you have multiple black belts in your school, you have to be willing to speak up, right? Yes, whoever the main guy is, it's his school. But if you're there and you are a black belt as well, then obviously you've been entrusted with a degree of knowledge, skill, and ability to be able to speak your mind, and you should. If you realize that, hey, this person probably should be getting promoted. They shouldn't be getting held back. They meet all the standards for it, right? I'm not always saying err on the side of giving a promotion, but I am saying don't hold people back arbitrarily. You know what I mean? Have a damn good reason if they're not getting it. If they're not getting it, right? If they're meeting all the criteria, if you've seen the improvement in them, if you see that they can easily hold their own with anyone else in that same age group, size group, strength group, you know, I'm not saying like, oh, you got this 21-year-old or 25-year-old stud kid who can jump in and beat the 45-year-old black belt. Not what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But I'm saying he's 21. He's been training for a couple of years, few years. The other guy, you know, he's 21, 2, 3. He's been training for a few years, has his blue belt. Well, why are you not giving this other guy's blue belt when you see they can go head to head and all things considered, they're like the same, right? It's like, what's your reason to hold them back? And then usually the reason's like, well, he wants to compete.
That'll mess you up a lot of times, huh? Because here's what if you do the competition and then you don't win, or you get like a bronze, Now, how does he rationalize promoting you?
Right. He's
got
like,
bronze.
well,
That
you
means
got to
there's
win this division
Yeah,
first.
just exactly. You're not the best. So that's a flip side to, I don't know. And like you said too, also the weigh-ins. That's another form of sandbagging. It really is. Like, just go in at your weight. You know, if you weigh 180, just go in at 180. Don't be like, oh, I'm 210. Now I drop down to 180.
Because you always want to be. I mean, hell,
wanna
that's
be
an
biggest-
old school wrestling
I
thing
get
right
it.
there.
Yeah, the biggest in your weight group. I get it.
Absolutely. And once again, it's.
But you know what?
It's tainted. It makes it feel dirty.
But some of that stuff works itself out on its own organically, because if you do drop that much weight, you're weaker. You're not really used to it. You really can't experience the benefits of being. You kind of have to move around with that weight for a little bit, whether it's up or down, before you can get comfortable at it.
But sometimes if it's just a matter of dehydrating and rehydrating, some people
That's
are
true
good
too.
at it,
Yeah.
man.
Some
people are good
that's
at
true.
it. They'll sweat that shit out.
Could
They'll
be.
throw on a freaking sauna suit.
Now that sucks.
Right, and it sucks, but it's like
you're not
boom,
really fighting. Yeah,
you
that's
dry out and then boom, you rehydrate before the damn night's
Yeah.
over.
Guys, now he's 195.
Right?
You're like 180.
Absolutely. Hey,
messed up.
but what did Hickson say? He was like, "Hey, 50 pounds up, 50 pounds down." He's like, "If you can't handle it, your jiu-jitsu's no good."
50's a lot though.
50 is a lot, but
That's a lot.
But
No,
that's jiu-jitsu.
But
man.
a guy your same level though.
Yeah, same level, man. It's like,
50 is
I
a
mean,
lot.
look,
That's
it's a lot, but
That's a lot.
yeah,
I would say
50
like
pounds up or down, you should be able to roll with him.
you can roll them, but like I would say he has a significant advantage. If I'm rolling with if I'm rolling with another black belt and he's 50 pounds heavier than me, he's definitely got an advantage. Now I would say if it was a lower belt, yeah, you're right.
Right.
But if
Lower
he's a black
belts for
belt,
sure.
he's got the same amount of time as I have. Like now,
Dude, I don't know.
It gets
man.
complicated
I don't
because his
know.
game would be
what
different.
What is that
His
50
game would be
pounds going to
different.
really do to you?
Well, it depends on his game, but I mean, you got to think though. He's got a good game. He's a black belt, so
Yeah, but exactly.
he knows
So
he
he's
knows
gotta
everything
give
you know,
dude.
and he knows on the counters to your
Okay.
counters, and he's a bigger, stronger guy to
I've
kind of
gotten
stop a lot of your
foot
stuff.
locked by 145
I agree.
pound black
That's
belt.
what I was saying.
You know what I'm saying?
There
So
are,
it's like,
yeah, there are counters, but I would still say you're at a disadvantage on paper.
I think within that range, within that weight range, up or down, it's more about your game. I
It's
think
gonna be
it's
style
more about
versus
your,
style?
Yeah, it's more
Yeah.
about how you fight versus how he fights. Because, yeah, if you guys are just clones of each other and one's 50 pounds more muscle, sure, they can then maybe power out of some shit that you couldn't.
Yeah.
But if you've got a different type of game from this guy, both black belt level, that 50 pounds don't really make a difference.
But if it would, the only way it would is if like you're like if you're more of a leg lock guy,
Right.
and you're trying to get underneath a guy, that 50 pounds is going to make a difference. Because like somebody my
He can
size,
flatten
like
out. He can try
yeah,
to
like
flatten
I
out
can Z
more.
guard and scoop and get under it, maybe go a little inverted, and I can get to maybe a backside,
But okay, so that's just. But
if you got a guy
one
that's
position
50
though.
pounds more than me,
Right?
that's going to be hard sometimes, man. To do that. It's a little
dude.
tough.
I don't know.
That's challenging.
I gotta see it then.
I'm not saying it's impossible. No, I'm not saying it's
No,
possible.
no.
And obviously, maybe I can work on my technique, but it still would be. I just noticed that when I'm rolling against guys my size or smaller,
Right.
I have a much easier time getting underneath them to catch a leg or whatever, to get those entries to the game that I want to implement.
Yeah.
Whereas with bigger guys, like, oh man, I'm not gonna be able to get up underneath
Okay,
them.
but
It's gonna
you
be
might
too heavy. It's gonna be a heavy
miss
smash.
out on that game. You might miss out on that, but you
my
still
game.
but you still have a bunch of other shit you can do. So it's like if you can't do that, you adjust. You go to something else, and then you make an opening for what your good game is. You know what I'm saying? Like you fucking make them light on one side so you can get up under.
No, I
his
agree.
ass.
There's always ways to do it,
Yeah.
but I'm at a disadvantage because I have to make just me having to make an adjustment due to his.
But
50
he
pound
would have
extra.
to make the adjustment first because if you're trying to get under him and he flattens out, he's adjusting how he plays. Like that's what I'm saying. It's a back and forth, right? Like
Sounds good in theory.
I agree, but I mean, jiu-jitsu is one of those things, man.
that's why
I
they have
think
weight
you
classes, Harold.
Yeah, they have weight classes, but there's
Especially in
I've
no
seen
gi. Now in
plenty
gi,
of
it's
times in
a
the
little bit
absolute.
different.
Yeah.
I would say the gi, the 50-pound thing. Wait, who said that anyway?
What?
Who said that?
Hicks and Gracie.
Now it makes sense.
Well, no, dude, he goes both.
I know, but he's traditionally a gi guy. So in
They
gi,
all started gi,
I will
but, like,
100% say
All his
in
MMA stuff is all
in the
freaking
gi.
Valley too.
I would
Those
agree with that
no gi.
100%. That in the gi, the 50 pounds doesn't matter. So I got to put this in proper context. When you're saying no gi, then I think the 50 pounds matters more.
It might, maybe. I don't know, dude. I don't
Yeah.
know. Because.
I'm gonna ask Ryan Hall.
Yeah, ask Ryan Hall. Ask him. So what
get back
else you
to
got on? So on sandbagging, right? So how about this? If we've got we've got people, they're lined up, they're ready to get promoted, let's say from brown to black belt, right? There's 4, 5, 6 other black belts in the school, right? They're brown belts. They've been there for a year and a half, pushing on 2 years, something like that. What would stop them? Because they're teaching, they're doing everything that we say that we've said in the past you should do to get promoted, right? So if you're doing everything that we said that you should do to get promoted,
is this like a hypothetical you're sitting?
It's a hypothetical. And then
it sounds like our school in a way because we literally have that scenario. But
right, but if you've got all these things,
this is not our school we're talking about. Let's make that clear because that kind of sounded like because we have like 6 some black belts and we have like 2 4 browns.
But either way, you're going through this thing. If they don't get promoted,
well,
what
if they
would
don't
be
get
the reason?
It would at the end of the day they don't have to have a reason. It could be like the instructor at the like you said, it's subjective. He could say he's not ready. He's not ready. In my opinion, he could say he's not ready, and then that's the end of it.
So
that is his prerogative as the owner of the school.
For sure.
There's nothing wrong with that, really.
So that's where I also say that's where all these other black belts should be challenging that.
They can challenge it, but it's not their school.
No, I understand they're not going to be able to pull the trigger on their own.
And now here's the flip side.
I don't think holding somebody to task and say, hey, well, why not?
Yeah.
It's like if everyone else sees it, though, and then this one guy says you're not ready. Because, again, if you want to go strictly traditional, fine, there's one guy, and he is the be-all, end-all. But if you're talking about a bunch of freaking well-trained people who are not fucking stupid, they understand the art, and they can clearly see where the other people should fall, right? Yeah. So if this one guy is saying, nah, I don't see a problem with them going, well, why not? Break this down for me. Explain to me why not. Yeah,
I think. Well, see, fortunately, I think we have a good school, and like what we do at our school is like Gus will meet with all the black belts, and he'll get our input.
Right.
Say like, hey, what do you guys think?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
That's a healthy. I think that's a healthy school.
Right. Should most schools do it that way?
I think they should because like we're like his generals right there, right? Because Gus isn't always there, so he's like, hey, Rod, and he's asked me, how is this guy rolling? And then, I'll tell him, hey, this guy's pretty good. And he needs a little work here. And what I'll do, too, is I'll tell the other guys, like, yo, dude, you need to roll with Gus. Next time you see him, roll with Gus. And just roll with him. Just get a nice little roll going, a nice little flow roll, but let him see how you move. Let him see how your style is. Okay. Because he's going to have to make a decision on you. That's what I tell the guys.
All right, so
and I think again that's our school, but again, I don't know what other schools do.
Remove it from our school, and let's just say, so now if we have a situation where the instructor's like, nah, it's like, they're just not ready.
There's nothing to do, really.
See, I don't know, man.
But what can you do?
That's what I'm saying. This is where I'm saying I think you should. If you've got all these other black belts, and if that main instructor actually values their input, then they should be able to speak up and be like, well, hold on, explain your line of thinking to me.
Do you have like, is that common? Do you think that happens a lot?
Well, I don't know, right? So
I don't think that's really common.
I actually would probably guess that it does happen a lot, especially because, again, if you've got this one guy who's always, he's the guy, he pulls the trigger, he says yay or nay, right? But that guy might not have nearly as much time on the mat with some of these, like, let's say his generals, like you said, right? All these other black belts who have been rolling with these guys, because the instructor might be pretty removed from the day-to-day operation. If you've got a school where there's multiple people running a bunch of different freaking classes, and then you have this one guy who's going to make the decision but doesn't actually get in there with everybody because the school's too big now, right? In a smaller school, I get it.
Yeah.
Smaller school, for sure. He rolls with everybody. Every time somebody learns, like they've gotten their triangle better, he notices it, right? Because he's the one. He's there. But you might be one of the black belts who has a Thursday class, and by running that Thursday class, there might be people who are only in your class. How does the person, how can he make a judgment call on people he literally does not see? Right? And go, they got to hold up. They got to wait. And I think bigger schools have that issue.
Do you think they do? I don't know. Because that's such a specific question. So I'm thinking of, like, the bigger schools are probably going to have, at least a school, I don't know, man, they're going to have multiple black belts in there. I just think at the end of the day, they would trust their opinion to a degree.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They would have to.
Yeah, I don't know if that's an issue. I don't think that's an issue where they're not.
So you don't think there would be a time where they're going to come up and go, nah.
I mean, if all the black belts said this guy's ready and then this other guy says no, unless you'd have to say, well, he might see something that, I mean, what if he sees something that we don't see collectively?
Right. And that's what I'm saying. So if so if they see something, yeah. But if that's the case, I still think it would be on the other black belts to go, can you explain that to me? Like, if you see it, okay, cool. You're the grand poobah. You see some shit we don't. Help us see it. We would like to be able to see it too.
Yeah.
Because if this is some real shit that you see, let us see it. You know what I mean? Don't hide shit from me because I want to be a black belt as good as you. I want to be able to see into the freaking matrix or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, show me too.
I get it.
So I think at that point, man, you should be asking these guys, like, man, like, why? Why?
Yeah.
And keep this in mind, right? Because here's the other part that I think people get weirded out by. But I will say I hope that people get over this. Your black belt is just as black as anybody else's black belt. So
for sure,
you have earned a terminal belt. So you stand right there with every other black belt. You can have a conversation with every other black belt. I'm not saying you can whoop their ass or anything like that, but you have earned the same thing that they have earned. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you speak to them on the same level. It's not like, oh, I've been a black belt for blah, 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 blah time. It's like, okay, I got you. That's cool. And I respect your time in grade. I respect that you've done that.
Yeah.
But your black belt's the same as my black belt, and I would like to actually be able to speak to you and have a conversation with you, right? Like,
So I see what you're saying. Let's shift it away from black belts because I think we're getting too hyper specific on brown to black because it's more just everybody getting promoted because we're talking about sandbagging, even if it's a white belt to a blue belt. So, like in that context, do you see that happening a lot with like a blue belt, like being held back because he's either sandbagging him or he just doesn't think he's good enough, or like for me, I'll give you my own example. Is like I was a white belt for 3 years, and Gus held me back. But like in retrospect, it was like, yeah, he did the right thing. I wasn't quite ready. You know, I really wasn't. I wasn't ready at the time. There were things I needed to improve on, and it sucks to be me at that time. But it is what it is, dude. And you know what, too? I look back at 3 years as nothing. Like it's time that's gone. It doesn't matter. It's like, it could have taken 5 years. It's like I'm a black belt now, so who cares how long it took me?
You'll be a black belt longer than all your other belts combined.
I just had to trust what he said at the time, and I did, and I didn't. I just kept training, man.
And I get that again with a one instructor school.
Yeah, it was a one instructor because we were smaller
with a one instructor school.
Yeah, totally different scenario than what you just said with the brown belt.
Like, but if you've got a team and that team is running, and then you still don't trust, if you got a black belt doing something and you're like, hey, man, you run this day, this day, this day, and then it just happens to be that all these white or blue belts show up on this day, and this day, and you never see them, and then your black belt goes, nah, he should get promoted, he should get promoted, she should get promoted, he should get.
I wonder if that's like put in the comments if that's a common thing. I don't know if that's common.
So
that's what I'm thinking. I don't think that's
for more black belt.
I think that's a very specific. Yeah. That's a very specific thing. And even when it gets to that, when it goes from brown to black, you're getting very granular at this point. Now you're getting down to the individual. There could be things about the person that all those things, are taken into account sometimes. It's too specific, I think, to have a general conversation about, in my opinion, on that one thing, on that one topic.
I'm talking about even if you're a black belt who's running other classes.
Unless I saw a school like that happen.
Running other classes, and it's like, hey, what do you think about, like I said, guy going to blue belt and this and another thing? And if you have been the one training them and you're saying it's a go, and this is what I'm saying, if you're a black belt or whatever, because you could promote it yourself if you really wanted to.
Oh, you can't do that. You could.
Well, you could, but that would suck. I would never suggest.
Don't do that.
I would never suggest if you're just freaking promote people on your own.
I get your point. I guess what I'm saying is that a problem in jiu-jitsu today where you think the black belt instructor is out of touch and he's not trusting his. It sounds like that your point
Do
is
I
that
think
he's
it's
not
possible?
trusting. I don't know if that's a big. Did that happen in your school ever? Do you think?
No, dude. So by the
seen?
time we started getting our black belts, it was for the longest. It was John. It was John who ran it, right? Now it's John and JP, and
so like, what do you think would happen? What do you think would happen if, like, hypothetically, if like,
if he said,
hey,
"I'm
and
not
John's
gonna
like, no, he's
promote
not
this
ready.
next guy,"
No,
right?
what if John just said, I don't think he's ready, but the other guy was like, no, he is ready. So like, what do you think would happen?
Ultimately, it's going to be the owner who's going to be able to make the final choice. But I would like to believe that the black belts would actually have the conversation with him. Like, I don't think.
So your point is,
I don't think they're just going to
you
fucking fold up and just go, bow to your sensei.
Yeah. Okay,
Sensei says this, and we can never question anything he says or does.
Okay, so your argument is more towards the other black belts. They need to step up.
Right. Yes, they would need
and
to
take initiative, be proactive,
correct.
which is something we've been doing that in our school for the longest. We
totally.
always like take up for our students. And there's been times I've said, hey man, this guy's not ready. And I've been that guy, like, yo, dude, I don't think he's ready for whatever reason. And you know what? I look back 100%. And I think it was the right call. And there's times I said he is ready. I fought for a guy. Like,
I'm just saying, speak up.
Yeah.
Speak up. Your black belt's just as black as somebody else's
I see.
black
Okay,
belt.
got it.
Speak
all right,
up.
I see. That makes sense.
You know what I mean? Especially if they've got you working in their damn school, if they've got you actually putting in work, speak up.
Yeah, speak up for your team. For your team.
Damn right, exactly.
Because see, sometimes too, like in the owner's defense, he may have a perception of that student from a year ago. You know, he's not rolling with them in his mind. You know, because he's got so many. He's juggling a business, this, that. And it's not out of a lot of malicious intent. It's just out of like, freaking busy, man. I'm doing a ton of things.
And that's why I say, if you're going to have all these other people, trust them.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about that too, right? You build up a team of people that you trust, and then you trust them. Like you have to be willing to step back and not micromanage.
Facts.
And that's scary. That's scary not to micromanage. Shit, I got a business, and I'm like, when I finally stepped back and I was like, hey, you just handle it. I just got your back. I'm just going to trust whatever. If you tell me this was happening, I'm signing off on it because you're in the trenches.
Yeah.
So
that's why you put them in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, let me ask this. Okay, let me give you another scenario. Let's just say you have a blue belt to purple belt. Actually, that's a good point too, because the belt matters. White to blue it's big, but it's not as big as blue to purple.
Agreed.
That's a huge step.
Agreed.
So let's go white to blue.
Is it white to blue
or no, blue to purple?
Oh,
let's go
okay,
blue to purple. Let's go to blue to purple. Okay.
Hell yeah.
So what if you have a guy that's right on the cusp? It could go either way. He could I could seize him a little bit longer, or I could put him in there and he'll grow into it pretty quickly. Like, what do you think is it better to err on the side of holding him back for another year or so, or then maybe he gets all demotivated and he's crushed, or do you put him in there at the end of the day, really? And let's just say there's a hobbyist. What's going to change if you put him in there a little bit early? If he's on the cusp, I'm not saying you
I got you.
Put him in there. He's going to get it pretty soon.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are,
what do you err on the side of?
If you have a wobbler,
that's
then you freaking promote him.
I agree.
Yeah, you promote him, and then what might happen? He'll get that belt, and he'll be like, "Oh shit,
I gotta grow into this thing.
I better get my mind right because, okay, I wanted this belt. Now I got this belt. I can't be getting beat up every day.
Yep.
I gotta be able to show. He might call me and say, "Hey, guess what? Run the freaking warm-ups," or "Hey, guess what? Run a little freaking run the teen class for me this day." You better be able to step up.
That's a really good point, because you know what? That is a game changer. Once you get that belt, that's a component that we don't really talk about, but you're forced to grow into that belt. Unless you just don't care. If you don't care, you won't be there anyway, right?
Yeah.
But if you have any ounce of ego or pride, you will definitely be forced to step up your game, even if it means that, man, I got this thing. Like for me, when I got my brown belt,
right?
I was like, dang, man, it was a lot of pressure. I don't think I'm ready for it, but I got it. I started training. I was training I went from 4 days a week to 6 days a week. Even as an older guy, I was training 6 days a week.
Hell yeah.
Because I want to make sure I grow into this belt, and I did.
And that's totally understandable. Yeah. I mean, you're there. You're like, I need to show and prove now, right? I got to make sure that. Now you're like, I got to make sure my instructor knows he did not just fuck up.
He didn't make a mistake.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's because then he's gonna be like, damn. He's like, I'll never do that again. I put this fool in here and he sucks. he shit the bed now. He just quit. He's just like, he never shows up to warm-ups anymore. He doesn't do anything. I mean, that's purple belt curse.
You dishonored our school.
Right, you've dishonored the Shaolin Temple. Yeah. So, yeah, but I do think for the beginner and mid-range belts, I think you should err on the side of keeping them motivated, keeping them moving forward, giving them something and going, hey, you need to step up now. It's like, this is you. You can't give it back. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm telling you, you're ready. So you better act like it.
You know what's so weird? It's so weird that we're even saying that, but it's true because it's a different culture now. Because if you go back 15, 20 years, there was no like keeping them motivated. It's like, man, you gonna wait.
Yeah, you would either survive or die. Yeah,
you quit. Like, yeah, just go somewhere else. That's how.
Yeah. Hey, listen.
But I understand it now because the learning curve is dramatically decreased. It's shorter now, right? So you might look around like, yo, man, how can I be a blue belt for like 8 years? This guy's already a brown belt, freaking black belt now.
Yeah, it's definitely changed. Like you can't just throw motherfuckers to the wolves and be like, if he dies, he dies.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could, but again, this is the business aspect of it, and this is the, hey, I gotta keep the doors open.
I mean, you gotta look at the average. I mean, if the average now, it's a lot. The growth curve is a lot quicker. So then you're comparing yourself to those other people because you're getting the same information. You're in that same era. You have the same ability to go on YouTube and whatever.
Yeah.
Look at all these moves. So it would be weird if you were an outlier and you were stuck, for years and years and years. I'd be like, dude, what am I doing?
Like,
man? What's up?
Right now, if you come in and you tell me, like, there's a guy who's a 4-year white belt, but he trains regularly, I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm like, what are you doing, man? Like, what kind of fucking voodoo bullshit are y'all doing over there, man? Hey, and if you happen to be a 4-year white belt who's trained regularly, I'm not talking you train and you're out for 7 months and then you train for a couple months, then your fucking back breaks and you're going again. No, I'm talking 4 years, consistent training, 3 times or more per week. And you still took 4 years? Whew. Man, come on. Fuck out of here with that shit. That's bullshit. Hey, and if I'm wrong, tell me where I'm wrong because, that's bullshit. So, I can't say it. I can't say it.
I think back in the day, what would happen too is if you had let's say you had a guy that was a grappler, maybe he'd wrestled or something like that, right? And he moved into jiu-jitsu, that guy might be on the same path as a guy that just walked in from being an accountant or whatever. They're both judged the same, and that grappler should be way ahead of the other guy.
And he probably will.
Yeah, he'll catch on.
Just because positional awareness and just understanding how to move your body around, for sure, man.
But do most schools nowadays, would they make the guy wait like the same amount of time? How does that usually work?
I think he'll get promoted faster.
Yeah, I think he typically would.
Yeah, because, I mean,
you can apply it on the mat better.
It is still a matter of what you can actually do. Like you said, like what can you apply, right?
Yeah.
If you come in and you're just like freaking mopping the floor with everybody, now this comes back to, are we talking about traditional? Are we talking about sport? Are we talking about what? Because tradition, you still make them wait. Because there's something to be said about that, right? Because but if you're talking tradition, then you start adding in all this mystical bullshit.
Well, I'd meet in the middle. I'd make him wait, but not as long. I'd give him a little bone. You know what I mean? Throw him a bone. Because make him wait a little bit, but not the full term.
Are some schools still looking at like good moral character and all these things? The answer is yes.
I think they are probably.
They fucking are. So now, right? So here's my issue with this, right?
I got a good one for you.
Because so now you got this guy. He kicks everybody's ass, but he goes to the bar. He likes to drink. He smokes some weed. He does all this stuff, right? He's all tatted up in his face and shit, but great wrestler. He curses all the time. He says shit and fuck and everything, right? And the instructors just don't like that. They're like, hey, man, this is not what we want to promote in our school. Now, the guy has to make a decision. Do I acquiesce and do I just conform to the school I'm at, or do I stay myself and maybe never get promoted because
go to MMA club,
or do you go to MMA club, or just any one of the other freaking bunch of jiu-jitsu schools that are out there now?
Yeah. I think we're pretty lax on that now.
I think a lot of places are.
Yeah.
So, dude, I said this before, right? I found Hassett School, and it was the perfect fit for me. Because had it been some super traditional bow to your sensei fucking martial arts shit, I'd have like, and I'm out.
Well, because think about it, the schools that might hold that line of reasoning would be older schools, right? The professor's going to be an older guy from that first generation. But because think of his students that are black belts now, from that second generation, like being a black belt from like 2000, starting in like 2003 to like 2013. That's like my second generation era. Those guys are younger. They're like in their 30s now.
But some of them have carried the tradition over. Though.
Yeah, but they're pretty chill though. They're like, they see that people have tats now. People have crazy stuff. Like because they're millennials, man.
Oh, okay, dude. So there was
you're going from boomers.
There was a Gracie school. There was a Gracie school that wanted to.
Or Gen Zers.
I don't fucking know. These guys now, I think they're Z or some shit. I don't fucking know. I don't know. They're all young.
If you're 35, you're a millennial or a Gen Z?
I think that's millennial.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a millennial. Yeah, because AJ, he's a millennial. Yeah.
Okay.
So there was this Gracie school that was going to kick one of their fucking students out because he subscribed to like Craig Jones freaking
what?
He watched like his videos.
Give that man a medal
and all that shit.
Craig Jones?
I'm saying, listen.
That's legit.
But he is irreverent, and he does a bunch of shit and says a bunch of shit that was counter to what this particular school wanted. And they were like, hey, man, you can't be friends on Facebook or whatever, or you can't post Craig Jones memes and blah, blah, blah. And the school's like, you got to either conform or you got to get out of the school.
That's a little bit of control there.
Yeah, but I'm saying that shit still exists.
Yeah, and it was a Gracie school, though, right?
Correct.
It makes sense because that's like an older. The guy was probably an older guy, man.
No, that's what I'm saying. It wasn't necessarily that. It's just the school. The guy might have been my age. I'm not a fucking boomer yet. You know what I'm saying? I guess technically I can never be a boomer, right?
You can't be, no.
Right, because that's a.
You had to be born in the 60s.
You got to be, whatever. What the fuck am I? I'm Gen X.
You're Gen X, yeah.
Yeah, Gen X. So anywho, what do you do in that case, right? Because there are still places that will go, hey, you don't fit the mold that we want to create here, so we ain't fucking with you. I mean, obviously, you just go to a different school. I mean, you don't just stand there and go, I'm going to change everything. I mean, don't do that.
You know, I'd like to. That makes me think something. Okay, so I wondered if think of all the Gracie schools. Would you say the majority of them are being run by older demographic, by like boomers, and then the newer schools are like younger guys? No.
Because
I'd like to do a little
the
research.
Gracie.
I don't know.
I mean, because the Gracie schools. There's so many. I mean, there's
quite
guys who like your last name doesn't have to be Gracie to run a Gracie school. Yeah. So you're going to get black belts, like I said, who are my age running it and younger than me running it, and it's just they're a Gracie affiliate school basically. So they're running blah 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 Gracie over in.
I would say
San
Gen X.
Jose
I would say Gen X and boomers are going to be the majority of Gracie school owners. That's, if I had to guess, that's what I would say. And then if you go into other schools, like just these different spin-offs,
I'm gonna say the millennials. I'm thinking millennials too, man. In the 30s, 35.
Yeah, millennials. You could throw some millennials.
Yeah, like 35 years old. Why would if they're going to actually be black belts who can keep up with their students? You're looking at 35-year-olds.
Yeah.
So I think. Not saying you old asses can't keep up with the freaking students too. I'm just saying, let's keep it real, right? You'd rather be 35 in a black belt than fucking 45 in a black belt.
For sure. But ultimately, it's the schools. I guess they could do it. It's their school, man. If they don't like the guy posting that, it's ridiculous in my opinion. Man, that's crazy.
But that's that bow to your sensei shit.
That's whack.
Yeah, it is. I wouldn't like it. And this is what I'm saying. If I would have showed up and it would have been like that,
would have been a good fit.
There's no way in hell I would have fit with that.
But here's the thing, though. There were other signs before that happened. Because if they're going to be that picky about something as innocuous as that, there's going to be some other signs that you probably just missed on, or you
probably saw them. There was probably signs like, you got to buy your gi from our school. Yeah. You got to only do this. You got to only do that.
I would have been out there like already under, and this is I'm not going to say it.
It's all good.
Because you're going to have to edit it out, so I'm just not even going to say it. But
there's schools like that. And listen, if you force all your students to buy your merch, it's cool, man. Do you.
Oh, yeah. Some schools have that, like you have to wear their stuff, right?
That's what I'm saying. But you know what? Because maybe they're looking for that uniform look. Like, that's just how they want their school to be run. They want to look like Cobra Kai, basically. They want to no Sensei. Like I'm telling you, they want that.
I get it. Yeah, and I can't argue with them. That's
Me either, man.
I just not. I wouldn't fit in there.
I would not fit in.
Yeah.
And I guess to me, jiu-jitsu has always been like a much more laid back type of art.
And you know why though? Because I didn't Hassett come from wrestling too though?
Well, yeah, he was a wrestler for sure.
See, he's a wrestler.
But wrestlers are freaking strict.
Nah, dude. They just
They are. Get it when it comes time for their
when they
training,
train, they're
that's what I'm
strict.
saying.
Oh yeah, but they don't have a lot of like, traditions and all that. They're pretty chill.
Well, no traditions and shit like that. No, but here's the other part though. They have
a strong work ethic. Let's say that.
He's a. I don't even know what degree Subak-do, Korean karate. His shit is super duper traditional, like, which also fucks me up because that is his predominant thing.
You would think that he would have carried that over on.
Man, and it was amazing that he didn't because his school, it used to be Hassett Karate. In fact, that my first gi and everything I think said Hassett Karate, but then it had in jiu-jitsu.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, dude. I don't know what year he took karate off his freaking off his banner, off his marquee.
Wow.
But dude. He had a fucking Subak-do school for years and years and years.
Interesting.
Yeah, super traditional. But he just never forced that shit in jiu-jitsu. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
I'm glad he didn't.
Yeah, he seems like he's balanced.
Yeah. Well,
Cool.
we are from Team Balance.
Team Balance.
Exactly. So, all right. I mean, so what do you think? Sandbag, do it or don't do it?
Don't do it. It's not good.
I wouldn't.
But if you want to win competitions, then you got to do it.
You have to do it.
It sucks, man.
Yeah.
They need to make competition pure again.
How? Like how? How are we going to do that?
I don't know. I don't think you can.
Because again,
there's no way to do it.
It's subjective. So
when it's run by people are corrupt. You're going to have an element of corruption involved in everything. So
damn,
there's no way to really. You can't micromanage it to that degree. It's not that important, really. You just have to sign up and accept it. It's not. It's like it's a little tournament. You know what I mean? Like I said, when it gets big. You're making your serious money. Then it's different. Then you're going to have more sandbagging.
The more sandbagging you're going to
Yeah, that's true.
It's like, damn.
But you know what's funny? Like they don't even check for steroids.
Nothing. Because it's not big enough to do that.
It's not big enough for that. Because
people aren't going to
be nuanced enough to, I'm going to learn this cycle on and cycle off and take these and take the, it's for what?
But if they do, it's because they're probably going to transition over to like MMA or something like that. Yeah. But yeah, man, it's rough.
They're just going to be like, I'm geared up. Deal with it. Right?
Hell yeah. How's this heel hook? Let it go. No, take his leg with you.
So don't sandbag.
Don't sandbag.
But also don't put him in prematurely, like excessively prematurely, because that could happen too.
Because that'll water down the sport.
Yeah, it does.
It's
not fair to the student.
Hey, man, this is why it's an art. Because art doesn't have rigid lines.
You're right.
Art flows. Art looks like this to one person and it looks like this to another person. That's why it's a martial art, man. So, but at least try to stay within some, within the realms so that it's similar, right?
Yeah. Don't
let a blue belt be a black belt. Like, even though blue belts used to be black belts. But, take what we've got now. Damn.
I know we did. What did we solve?
Man, we're not here to solve everybody's fucking problems, dude. We're here to fucking speak our mind.
We're just shedding light on some of these things.
This is what we think about sandbagging.
Yeah.
Try not to do it too much. Shit.
Except that it's going to happen.
It's going to happen anyway.
If you compete, man, I would just assume that the guy's going to be a belt higher. Worst case scenario, he's a belt higher.
That's the other part we didn't really touch on. All right, you're right. It's like if you are the guy going into a competition and you're like, what the fuck? I thought I was pretty good as a blue belt, but you're getting your lunch eaten every time. You probably are good as a blue belt, right? But you might not be a competition blue belt because a competition blue belt is a purple belt. So just be okay with it, man. I think that's going to be like the theme at every podcast. Just, hey, man, it's okay. Like, don't quit. Don't fucking quit. Don't be discouraged. It's not that bad. Like, jiu-jitsu's fucking awesome, dude. And,
it's great.
And as long as you fucking keep training, you'll be awesome, too. We got anything else?
I think that's it, man, because I wanted to talk about something, but we'll do that later because it's going to go too deep on it. But you did hit on a good point about let's just wait. Let's
yeah, we'll wait. We'll wait, dude. But don't quit because the shit's important to you. And if it's important to you, you'll freaking find a way. And if it's not, you'll find an excuse. So just stick with it. Don't fucking give yourself an out. Don't be like, oh, I got beat up in a competition, so I quit. Don't be that guy. Don't be a fucking quitter. Rod, what else you got for me?
No, that's the main thing, man. Do not quit. I mean, there's been plenty of times where I wanted to quit, and even if I took some time off, then I just get back in there. I mean, there's gonna be peaks and valleys in your training. So it's like that with anything, whether it's weight training, whether it's freaking golf. I don't care what sport it is.
Right.
There's gonna be peaks and valleys, and you just have to stick it out when you're in that valley.
Is golf a sport?
What's that?
I said, is golf a sport?
It's a game.
I'm sorry.
Yo, watch that last episode. Thank you for that correction. Golf is a game.
But don't quit golf either.
Don't quit that game either.
Be
way.
the best.
Yeah. So yeah. But anyway, just keep it going, and we'll bring some more to you guys next week. But this is what we have for now. And shout out to all you guys watching. We appreciate it. If you guys like it, hit the like button, hit the share, hit the subscribe.
Hell yeah. Like, share, subscribe.
That subscribe does help a lot.
Finally got it.
You guys. And we'll see you guys next week.
Us. All right, let me see. Microphone checker. And that. Fuck it, I look good. All right. Whenever you're ready. Go ahead. Ready.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.